This is The Clash, where the real world clashes with a true Christian worldview. Join former professional wrestler Chris Whaley, known as the Masked Saint, who is an author, pastor, and teacher that brings his wrestling skills into the squared circle and tackles real-life issues. Along with Jeff Dixon, best-selling author, internationally known teacher, leader, and pastor who is not afraid to tackle the tough issues of the world we live in. Together they form a tag team of wisdom in The Clash.
Hi, welcome to The Clash, where we take a Christian worldview and allow it to clash into the culture around us. It could be anything. It could be politics. It could be current events. It could be things happening in the church. It could be things that are just happening in the world that people are bothered by. But we're allowing it to clash and seeing how that Christian worldview can impact the way that we see the world and also how we live out our faith. I'm Jeff Dixon. I am one of the hosts of The Clash, but the real superstar of this event is none other than the saint himself, my partner in crime, Chris Whaley.
He is way too kind, way too kind. But I love that introduction because I think it's going to kind of play into what we're going to talk about today. Is that right?
I think it will. I think we're going to have fun today. And so here's what we want to challenge you to do before we get started. Take your politics and park them at the edge of the television set or the computer or your mobile device, whatever you're watching us on, for just a few minutes. Because today we're going to go off-roading a little bit. We're going to take a trip down to the Florida Everglades. And we're going to visit a little place called Alligator Alcatraz and talk about how our faith really does kind of collide and clash with some of the things that's going on there, and hopefully have a very proactive, profitable, healthy conversation about it. What do you think?
Oh, I think we're going to do that, but it's still probably going to tick somebody off.
Well, if it wasn't going to tick somebody off, we probably wouldn't do it.
Let's do it anyway.
Okay, we'll do it anyway.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to try to sell you some junk here in just a second, but then we'll be back. Hi. Just wanted to ask you a question. This is an important question. Have you been to the Clash store yet? You don't even know that it is a Clash store? Where have you been? Follow the links that you see right now and visit the Clash store. You can get all sorts of Clash gear. You can get coffee mugs. You can get tumblers. You can get those fancy cups that keep things hot and keep things cold. We have all of that, but not just that. We have gear, we have hoodies, we have shirts, we have sports shirts, we have t-shirts. We have anything and everything that you need to let folks know that you are involved in the Clash. You're taking your Christian worldview and you're allowing it to clash into the culture around you. And so, support the show, support this ministry, take time to visit the Clash store today. Hey there, stop whatever you're doing right now. Get your phone out and go ahead and aim it right here at the screen at the QR code right in front of you. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, I'm having such a great time watching The Clash, but there's been some episodes that I've missed. Well, if you take a picture of that QR code and follow it to the website, you're going to discover all the episodes of The Clash that you might have missed on a channel called The Church at 434 in Motion. 434 in Motion has that and a lot of other resources, and we would love for you to catch back up on what you've missed. Every day there's brand new programming that comes out, and we want you to be a part of it. Now, hey, relax, it doesn't cost you a dime. It costs you a little bit of time, but it's well worth it because it's time well spent. Actually, it's almost like you're making money at it. So use the QR code, come find us, see the episodes of The Clash that you missed, and let's get back to the show. Hi, welcome back. Today we're talking about Alligator Alcatraz. You may have heard of it. It's been on the news. It's been national news. It's on the mind of a lot of people these days. And so we're going to kind of take you down the road a little bit. We're going to talk about that from a Christian perspective. Chris, I just got back from Alligator Alcatraz.
I heard that.
I heard
that. Tell me,
fairness, I didn't
tell me about your experience.
Well, I didn't get to take a tour of it because, well, I haven't been a detained immigrant. I'm not. That's not me. So I'm not on a work release program or anything like that.
Why did you go down there?
Because I just wanted to see it, and I wanted to see what was there. And I didn't really know what to expect, but I've been hearing about it in the news. And I was on a field trip to the Everglades, which is an interesting part of the state of Florida. If you've never been there, you once in your lifetime need to go. but go with no expectations. It is one of the few places in Florida you can go that still has that roadside attraction, roadside America feel to it. There's a lot of stuff to see that is way off the beaten path. And by the way, the Everglades is way off the beaten path.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of mosquitoes, a lot of gators,
A lot of pythons.
a lot of pythons, a lot of bugs. I was down there on python hunting weekend. Crazy stuff. Anyway, I went to Alligator Alcatraz. I had no idea what to expect. It's along the Tamiami Trail.
Right.
Now, I guess maybe we need to start for a minute. What is Alligator Alcatraz?
It is a detention center for violent illegal immigrants that have been caught in our country. And that's where they take them to before they send them to their ultimate destination.
Sure. It's a detention area. The next stop is out.
Right.
Yeah.
Former military base?
Yeah, former military base. Governor DeSantis had really repurposed it. It was just, it was, I don't want to say abandoned. I mean, it still had, some of the infrastructure there, but it wasn't being used anymore.
Right.
And so he repurposed it because we needed the prison space. We needed a detention center. And so out of this kind of political climate where we are trying to round up and deport illegal aliens,
right.
It emerges. And of course, it emerges. They branded it and named it officially Alligator Alcatraz. I had no idea what to expect. I really wasn't sure you could find it. But if you kind of do the Google work and do a little bit of asking around, it was pretty easy to find. Matter of fact, any business down that way, anybody you could find, you could ask where it was, and they could tell you exactly where it was. As we pulled up to it, there was this massive line of cars on both sides of the road. I mean, just massive, in the middle of nowhere. And as I drove up on it, I thought to myself, this can't be it. But sure enough, it was it. Because when you drive past the entrance, there is a state-created road sign that says Alligator Alcatraz. That's the official name of the place now.
Right.
And so, I got to the end of that car line, and so you think about that. That's a mile of cars.
Right. Why were they there?
Well, because there's a lot going on. It was TV crews. There were protesters by the gates. There were people carrying signs. There were people selling T-shirts out of the back of their cars. It was my kind of environment. It was a carnival. And so I couldn't get out of the truck fast enough to go and kind of see what was going on and kind of wade into what was happening. And just watching, I also didn't know, and again, this is just my own ignorance, and I'm admitting that. I didn't realize it was the day that the Democratic Congressional Caucus was going to be down there visiting.
Oh, wow.
And so not only is it just a media circus with people, onlookers and protesters and stuff like that, I mean, you got politicians coming in and out of there. And so to understand Alligator Alcatraz, you're on the Tamiami Trail, which is a 2-lane road that just cuts through the Everglades. I mean, there's nothing on that road. But the entrance to this place is now just jam-packed with people. And to get into Alligator Alcatraz, you basically have to go through an armed gate down a long, double-lane road that basically deposits you into Alligator Alcatraz, which is the Air Force or the military base. So what you've heard about it is true. If you escape from it, there's one road in and out. That's the only way you're going to be able to navigate it. And if you go out any other way, you are in the swamp. You are surrounded by pythons and gators and crocs and all the stuff
Cottonmouth
that you would associate with a swamp. I mean, so it really is, in some ways, what it has been billed as. But I mean, let's be real honest with you. I mean, that's the Everglades. Okay. And again, so there's access, there's a road in and out. You don't just they're not airdropping people in or anything like that. But as I was there was all the protesters there, and there was a protester that particularly caught my attention. She was carrying a sign that says, "Jesus is weeping, this is wrong." Now, again, I always got this curious factor going on, right? I've always got this idea in my head that, everybody wants to
Wait a minute.
talk.
I figured this out. You confronted that woman, I'll bet you.
I didn't confront a strong word. I just went to talk to her because she has a sign. If she got a sign, that to me, that's an open invitation, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be a person that's going to put my views on a sign and carry that sign around in a protest,
You're going to have an answer.
you got to have an answer. And I think anybody has the right to ask you about it.
Right.
I think that's part of the game, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what? And you know what? And it's great that there are protesters there because this is America, right? You can
Absolutely.
protest whatever you want. And so her sign says, Jesus is weeping, this is wrong. And I just walked over to her and I said, hey, I read your sign. I want to know, why is Jesus weeping? And she just kind of gave me this look like, you're an idiot. Why are you talking to me? And so I explained. I said, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. He's my Savior. You put his name on a sign, and you said he's weeping. And so I want to know why he's weeping.
Why he's weeping?
That's a fair question, right? Then her husband walked over.
He was mad.
I mean, he acted like he had an attitude. And I'm like, I was like, there's no attitude here. This is a simple question. You put it on a sign. Why is Jesus weeping? And it compelled me to start thinking about, is Jesus weeping, and what does Jesus think about Alligator Alcatraz?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question.
Is he for it? Is he against it?
Right.
You know, and then for us, for our Clash audience, you know, if we're followers of Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
are we in favor of a place like Alligator Alcatraz,
Mm-hmm.
or should we be concerned about it? Mm-hmm. And then maybe the bigger question: Could that woman who couldn't defend her sign possibly be right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jesus weeping over this?
I don't think
I just had questions. I just had tons of questions. And I'm there in the middle of the Everglades getting bit by mosquitoes, buying my Alligator Alcatraz t-shirt out of the back of that guy's car. He was great. And he sold me a shirt, so I have a shirt. We're not selling it at the Clash store, by the way. But and so, is Jesus weeping over this?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, why not?
Well, you know, they had prisons in Bible times
Sure.
for people who did wrong things.
Broke the law, right?
Right, broke the
Okay.
law.
Right.
You go to prison.
Right.
So we have a prison in South Florida called Alligator Alcatraz that is specifically for violent, illegal immigrants.
Okay.
I mean, those are people who have come into our country, which was breaking the law.
Mhm.
And I mean, they have rapists, they have murderers, they have child abusers. They have the worst of the worst in that facility known as Alligator Alcatraz. So how could anybody get upset? And these stinking politicians, Jeff, that go down there and complain about it,
Mm-hmm.
they don't complain about they don't come to the victims' aid, the people who have been victimized by these animals. They don't say anything about that, but they'll go all out and say these poor people are being mistreated when they got air conditioning.
Mm-hmm. And it is air conditioned, by the way. Yeah.
They got 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
They've got shower facilities, bathroom facilities. They've even got recreation facilities there. So what's the big deal?
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a little bit, because I heard the politicians that were there,
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about it. And so the question was, well, we're keeping people in cages. How would you respond back to that?
You know, they said the same thing on the southern border when Trump came in, and they showed pictures. But the interesting thing was, when it came out, those pictures that they showed were not during the Trump administration. They were during the Obama administration. So I don't think that they're cages. They are facilities to hold people who've done bad things.
Yeah. Well, you know, it begs the question. I mean, because again, part of the problem with as we kind of navigate this is, you know, is you have the political side of it, but then you have the spiritual side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you've got to deal with is the fact, okay, well, if someone says they're holding them in cages,
Right.
okay, so you can call it a cage, you can call it a cell, you can call it whatever you want, but they have to be held somewhere.
Right.
So what are you going to hold them in? You know, you're not going to hold them in a luxury hotel. You're not going to hold them in the back of a car. You're going to have to hold them somewhere by nature because they're being detained.
Right.
So then your other alternative is, well, they shouldn't be detained at all.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are to be detained, where are you going to put them?
Right.
So you've got to get to a point where you have that conversation first. And if the conclusion is they shouldn't be detained, then that sends you skirting down a conversation that ends up way over here somewhere.
Right.
But most people believe
Mm-hmm.
with a little bit of sanity, that if you've done something wrong, there does need to be a place to detain you.
Right.
So at that point, what are you detained in?
Mm-hmm.
You can call it what you want.
Yeah. You call it a cage, but
cell.
it's a holding facility.
It is.
Does it have wire? Yeah,
Sure does.
absolutely. It's got chain link fencing on the inside.
It does.
That cannot be broken by their hands. So,
But it's air conditioned. It's indoors. So
Right.
these cages, if you will, are created indoors where multiple people are there. In the restroom area, there is a privacy wall that's put up so people can take care of their business in this environment. There's recreational places, and I say recreational, they sound like a gymnasium. Places where you can, where you can walk, you can get the exercise you need, things like that. So there is a standard that's being put into place here, and I think sometimes that gets lost in the conversation about Alligator Alcatraz.
Right.
But we need to kind of dig into this a little bit more. But before we do, we need to take a break. Okay. So we'll let you guys escape Alligator Alcatraz for just a minute. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Hey, I'm Chris Whaley. I went from professional wrestling for 10 years, wrestling some of the biggest names in the business, 4 world champions. And I left the wrestling world to become a pastor. And I wrote a book about that transition because when I became a pastor, I found out that there were some people being abused and people being mistreated. And I ended up dealing with some people more as a professional wrestler than I did as a pastor. And I wrote a book about that transition called The Masked Saint. And it's available along with my other book, which is Harold's Heavenly Christmas. If you like Christmas stories, you're going to love this one. And one day it's going to be a movie. And then my last book is Mr. President. Has 2 lives, a comedian and the world heavyweight wrestling champion. And it is a great read. Jeff, do you remember the first Bible verse you memorized?
I do. I have sometimes trouble remembering the address of it, but it's John 11:35. Jesus wept. Now, when I was a kid, they were having a contest, and the goal was go home this week and come back and memorize a Bible verse. I'm a practical kid, right? I'm like, okay, what's the shortest verse I can find in the Bible? And sure enough, 2 words, Jesus wept. Fantastic, I'm on it. And so that was the first verse I ever memorized. And other people memorized John 3:16. I mean, and they were doing great stuff. But me, I just kept it simple. But I found out over time, though, that in those 2 words, I have discovered so much about Jesus and the way that he connects to us, the way he feels about us, the way he feels our pain, meets us at our point of need, his compassion and caring. It's really all wrapped up in those 2 words. And so for me, although it's silly, it's also the first verse I ever remember as a kid.
Hey, welcome back to The Clash. We're talking about Alligator Alcatraz, but there's some other things that kind of need mentioning in this, Jeff. Let's talk about, freedom, responsibility, and, punishment. I mean, is it unbiblical to punish someone for their actions?
No, I don't think it's unbiblical at all. I think that sometimes that gets lost in this conversation. Because you're a follower, you expect that people will, and I think the Bible lays out very clearly that we are to adhere to the laws of the land. If we don't, there's a penalty. That even when we elect leaders whose responsibility is to govern and govern wisely. And if we don't like the way they govern, we don't have to elect them, right? I mean, we have the freedom, especially in America, right? And I think there's a great deal of responsibility that comes into play in this. And I think that gets lost in this whole Alligator Alcatraz, because at the end of the day, if you are an immigrant that is here illegally, then you have broken the law. Now, are we handling it in the right way? Maybe so, maybe not, but we're handling it right now in a way that's dictated by the laws as they are written.
Right.
So if you or I don't like that, elect a representative that has the guts to change the law. But we're living in an era of generations of gutless leaders,
Right.
who didn't want to do anything about it.
Yep.
So part of that is on us as voters,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of it's on the backs of those that we've elected who don't know what to do because
Now,
they don't want to have a good conversation about this.
now, when you say we in
Hmm.
that, I haven't voted for anybody that fits in that category. You haven't voted for anybody that fits in that category, have you?
Yes,
Really?
because at the end of the day, we have been electing for the last 30 years people who haven't enforced the law
That's
and they haven't
exactly
cared.
right.
So I am responsible. I have voted for people who didn't step to the plate and do their job.
Right.
And so that's on me. It's on anybody that's voted for that crowd. I mean, and there's no excuse for that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than this cowardice.
Well, the whole time Trump was running for president, I mean, he told us what he was going to do, and he's doing it,
Yeah,
and that's making a lot of people mad.
sure. Oh, it is. Of course it is.
Oh
Of
yeah.
course it is.
Why is it making them so mad?
Because of the politics of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
Because at the end of the day, I think as for followers, I mean, there's an honest question that needs to be asked of, well, how do we handle the immigration crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I think anybody that is detained as a follower, I want them treated with dignity and respect.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I want their needs to be met.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a proactive conversation about what to do with their families.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that always comes up. I mean, there's always someone running up the issue. Well, you've taken a father away from his children, and so what happens? And that's a great question. What happens?
Well,
And we don't really have good answers for that in our world.
well, I'm getting off of the illegal immigrant situation here, but when somebody breaks the law that's an American, they're taken away from their family.
Yes, they are.
I mean, they gave up that right when they broke the law, and they have to go for their punishment. Family doesn't go with them.
No.
So I don't know why they get all upset when it's an illegal immigrant and he's taken away from his family.
And I think for followers, it begs the question that we need to have some honest, open conversations is what is the best way then to care for those families?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
We don't ever have those conversations. Followers don't have that conversation.
Mhm.
Politicians don't have that conversation. People just want to protest. See, and that's all also on us as followers because we haven't pushed the envelope to have honest, strong conversations because there's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Mhm.
And there's a way to honor Jesus as we do it. And there's a way to dishonor Jesus as we do it.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes because we've just gone to our political corners, we don't engage the conversation with
Right.
either side. We're afraid to do it. The other thing about it is too, are we using the right criteria for the people that we're detaining?
Mhm.
Okay. We need to make sure, and that needs to be an honest, fair conversation.
Well, let me ask you,
Mhm.
Jeff, what is your true, Jeff is a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, and so am I. So, what is your perspective on Alligator Alcatraz?
I think it's needed. I think we needed to do it. I think it is a political. It's a needed structure that was put into place that has become a political stunt.
There we go.
Let me tell you why. Because I am a fan of it. I went down there to be entertained by it. I certainly was. And I saw it. I had the pictures, and I saw the sign. But then later in the day, I was in Everglades City, 30 miles away from Alligator Alcatraz.
Mhm.
Not on the same road with Alligator Alcatraz. Yet as I was going through Everglades City, I saw a state blue and white road sign that had been placed along the highway that said Alligator Alcatraz with an arrow. Now, I've been all over the state of Florida. I can't find any of our jails or state penitentiaries where 30 miles away, the state is posting a sign to tell me that I'm approaching a state penitentiary.
Mm-mm.
That is poking the bear. And so the fact that all over South Florida now you can find these signs that are letting people know where to go for a place that they can't go into.
Yeah.
The only reason it's there is that's the political side of
Yeah.
it. Now, again, I understand there's politics involved in it. And then you got to decide what kind of politicians we elect and don't elect and what we like and don't like. So while I think there's great humor in the name, I don't have a problem with the name. I don't have a problem with the place. I have a problem with the fact that it's not enough to set it up and then stand by your guns.
Right.
You know, I recognize the sign is poking the bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little excessive, and probably, yeah, okay, we're better than that.
Right.
We should be better than that. We should expect better than that.
Mm.
And it's okay to call to account those that have done that.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with Alligator Alcatraz. It's just you don't have to advertise because you don't do it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the politics then undercuts the value of it. And I think that's part of the problem.
Right.
To do Alligator Alcatraz, needed. Do it, stand by it, stand up, defend it. But I don't think what we need to do is to keep pushing and prodding and poking the bear, because, see, I don't think that honors God.
No.
If you do the right thing because it's the right thing, then it is the right thing, and you
Right.
just let that settle.
Right.
I think that honors Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it honors Jesus to rub it in someone's face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it honors Jesus to constantly wave it as a flag. And I think that that's where the politics and faith kind of really start colliding, if you will. And that clash puts people in a real uncomfortable environment because we're not able to have the conversation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to be Republican, Democrat, or Independent before we want to be a Christian.
Right.
So when you ask the question, what does Jeff Dixon think about Alligator Alcatraz? I mean, I want to be Christian about it. I want the people there. I want to make sure the people that are there, I can be confident that they need to be there. I think those standards need to be as high as any other standard. Mm-hmm. I think we need to be flawless,
mm-hmm.
perfect in detaining people.
Right.
I think they need to be deported. They've broken the law.
Right.
If people don't like that, change the law.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think there's a negotiating room there. I think that there is an issue of what do you do, because it's complicated. We have a lot of people who have come in over the last 35 years in America that are illegal, who are not criminals, other than the fact that they came to America without going through the laws and the checkpoints in the process.
Right.
What do we do with them?
Mm-hmm.
How do we handle that? Because that's messy, mm-hmm. and it's dirty, and it's work. And I think we as followers ought to be able to step up and help guide that conversation. We don't. Mm-hmm. We're not going to.
All right.
And our politicians don't seem to be able to do it. That bothers me a lot.
Bothers me greatly.
Because I think that doesn't honor Jesus.
Right.
And so there's a lot to be said about Alligator Alcatraz. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot to be said for getting into conversations about it where you can have good, wholesome conversations and really try to figure out what does make Jesus weep. Mm-hmm. Which the lady with the sign, she had no answer for. Mm-hmm. Which, that's as offensive to me as anything else.
Yeah.
Don't tell me Jesus is doing something.
Well, we have the Bible that tells us why Jesus weeps.
Yeah.
He wept over Lazarus even though he knew he was going to raise him.
Sure.
He wept over Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. We know what he weeps over. And Alligator Alcatraz is not one of them.
No, it is not. And so I think the sign was wrong. But it was great fun, a great field trip. I had a great time, by the way. And I got my t-shirt to prove it. We'll be back right after this break. In the Bible, the church is called the body of Christ. Hopefully you have a place that you call home when it comes to church. And hopefully you attend there, and hopefully you find a connection with other people. But also, we live in a world where we are connected digitally. And online, you're more than welcome to come visit the church at 434. That's where Chris Whaley and I are part of that staff. The website, touchandchange.net, touchandchange.net. Use the QR code to get there. You'll find all sorts of resources that will help you in your journey of faith. We look forward to seeing you at the church at 434.
Well, welcome back. I hope that this episode has made you think. It certainly made Jeff and I think. Mm-hmm. And remember, don't tap out.